Smailiam Shiaght Laa agus a chléir seo Shiaght Laa. She Robert de Carslach Mish. I'm Bob Carswell, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this edition of Shiaght Laa, a programme that looks at the island's culture and history. She Claire investiture Culture Vannin. Let's join Steward of Culture Vannin's director, Breesha Maddrell, speaking in the Millennium Room of the Legislative Building last Friday afternoon, the 3rd of February.
Pastor Myers Felch Eru Olju. Good afternoon, welcome, thank you so much for coming. Ta hetnas orm the gred fel na Alton and the Ving a chodel leis online the be Fiona McArdle and Reih Bleeaney Vanannan son and Glen their house entry is feed. On behalf of the selection panel, I'm delighted to announce that the island's highest cultural award, the Reih Bleeaney Vanannan, has been awarded to Fiona McArdle for her lifelong commitment to and continued involvement in so many facets of Manx culture. Fiona's passion, time and expertise have been given generously to the Manx language, to music and dance, history and heritage, festival and society committees, community activities and radio presenting. She has represented the Isle of Man internationally at festivals and conferences and is a wonderful and knowledgeable ambassador for everything Manx. The list of societies and festivals with which she has been associated, and still is in many cases, is impressive. I will mention just some of them. Yn Cheisich Gilgach, the Manx Language Society. Yn Crynnicht Inter-Celtic Festival. Crynnicht Egg Youth Competitions. The Manx Folk Awards. Boccew and Fanny Dance Group. Cliogri Tui, Manx Gaelic Choir. The Pan-Celtic Festival and the Erin Arts Centre Competition. Douglas Hunt the Wren, Manx National Heritage, Manx Radio, Blue Badge Guides, and I could add many more, but Fiona said keep the speeches short. Fiona is someone who makes things happen, often behind the scenes, and without seeking anything other than the reward of the activities themselves. She is perhaps best known as a wonderful Manx speaker, teacher and singer, leading classes in her free time at Tyne Gilger at St Jude's and taking groups to the Calf of Man for language immersion weekends. Nominations highlighted the fact that countless people of all ages have benefited from Fiona's teaching and willingness to share her knowledge and talent, making hers an incredible legacy. I will give just a couple of examples. As a teacher in the 1980s, at a time when Manx was not taught officially in secondary schools, Fiona led a lunchtime Manx language club, as well as a singing and dance club, entering pupils for competitions in the Guild and in Crynnicht, and preparing them for Manx concerts. In 1989, she rather bravely took a group Crosh Vollen from St Ninian's High School to Brittany to represent the Isle of Man at Festival Anti-Celtic de Lorient. As education officer at Manx National Heritage, Fiona helped with the development of a curriculum for Manx history, and taught thousands of children through workshops and events. She was a driving force behind the production of Shiaght Laa Vannin, archive recordings and transcriptions of native speakers of Manx, as well as the Manx language bibliography. In recognition of what I think is a remarkable contribution to Manx culture, history and heritage that has touched the hearts and lives of so many people, and will do so for years to come, I now ask the Cailleach of Culture Vannin and of the selection panel, Chris Thomas, to present the Reih Bleeaney Vanannan Medal and Trophy to Fiona McArdle.
I'd just like to thank the selection panel, all the nominees, because we really have ended up with an excellent RBV, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, Tommy Guinness Crenfe, Tommy Unshoju, och as Tammy Began Imley Merkian as Tammy Mornachnius. As Bavaliam Ker Mawis there, Ulian Sly Kerma Enum Roche Culture Vannin Chairman as the Bing in Culture Vannin son Kerma Saicha Jema Enum. As Bavaliam Kerwiste Shulju Tonju Erfed about Lochtai as Makurjan as Tammy Kuta Fiavaju Uliu. I will do it in English a bit. I'm just quite humbled and proud at the same time, really, that anybody thought me worthwhile, and I'm very happy that some people put forward my name, and even happier still that the panel of Culture Vannin accepted me, so that was fine. And I'd just like to thank all of you who've come here today to witness this auspicious occasion. And I'll just tell you a little bit about why I came to Manx in the first place. Because I'm not that Manx born, as is obvious from my accent. I'm a Scot. I was born and brought up in Edinburgh, but my father's family came from the north of Scotland, from the east of Sutherland, a village called Helmsdale. Now, the east of Sutherland lost its Gaelic early in the 20th century, and my father had nothing but a word or two, really. And one of my first, without knowing it, Gaelic phrases I learned was Jock and Doris, I thought. And it so happened that my cousin's twin, she lived in Helmsdale, and we were on holiday in the summertime, and he and his family were up there too. Well, he was called John, and I knew at the age of 10 or so that all English people called Scots jocks, regardless of what their name was. He happened to be John anyway. And his wife happened to be Doris. So I didn't know I knew any Gaelic. I thought they were referring to Jock and Doris. I was actually Jock and Doris at the very end, when you're leaving the pub early at 10 o'clock at night in those days. In Scotland it was. And they would line up the jocks ready so that you could drink them all up before actual closing time, half an hour later. So Jock and Doris. There you go. I much later discovered, when I was looking through family history, that my paternal grandparents were catalogued as bilingual, Gaelic and English, in the 1911 census. They probably aren't in the 1921 census. I haven't been able to afford to look at that yet. And so when I eventually turned up in the Isle of Man in 1971 to take up a teaching post at the Douglas High School for Girls, as it was in those days, I was a bit busy living in Douglas in rented accommodation to start off with. Karen may remember that, my daughter, but my son wasn't born at that time. Anyway, it was hard work. I think it was interesting. Hard work. The schools changed in 1974 and became mixed schools, Ballacomine Junior High School, St Ninian Senior High School, so I didn't actually like the headmaster at the high school, the senior high school terribly much, so I went to the junior high school instead, which was probably good in some ways and not perhaps so good in others. Anyway, that was in 1974, and by that time we were living in Mackald, and we had a house of our own, so time to start up the evening classes again. I thought, Manx language, that's interesting. I know it's Gaelic language. I'll go there. So in September, or October, whenever it was, in 1975, I started up there. Went to the grammar school, met Johnny Crellin, was my first teacher. And I didn't last very long. I lasted about 5 months or something, 4 months. Into about the February of the following year, 1976. And my son knows what happened then. I went to the doctor thinking I was anemic because I was so tired all the time. And he said, "You're not anemic, you're pregnant." There you are. So I didn't go back to Manx just then, but I did go back afterwards. And I had another excellent teacher in Walter Clark, whom he was amazing. I just loved him. And from then on, I suppose, I sort of came up towards fluency by Well, I definitely came up to certificated fluency by 1982 when I took my O-level Manx language, which was an official what do they call it? Joint Matriculation Board. It was a British, an English qualification, not just a local one in those days. So I did that, and by that time I was teaching Manx myself anyway. And from then on, I thought, well, I'll branch out a bit. So I joined Fiona McArdle Vannin dance group, which had a lot of Manx speakers in it at the time. Yes, Trina? Yes. And then some of Fiona and Fanny decided they would like to join a choir and sing in Manx Gaelic as well. So that's when I joined Theay Vannin. And life took off after that. It was a round of concerts and events and festivals, and it was really great fun. I enjoyed it very much. And in the meantime, I changed schools again because they'd reorganised the Department of Education, and I joined St Ninian's mixed high school, all through 11 to 18 school, and left Ballacameen, which had become another one of the same ilk in those days. Anyway, I lasted about 4 or 5 years there, and then this amazing job came up at the Manx Museum, which rejoiced with an amazing title, which I've quite forgotten now, Education and Extension Services Officer. I thought, what does that mean? So I asked Stephen Harrison, and he said, well, you're not just for school children, you're adults as well, and such like. And then other people said, does that mean you're just because you're in the new extension to the Manx Museum, which was open last month? Well, it could be. So I was there for the next 16 years and had a wonderful time. I really enjoyed it. Gave the opportunity to actually do something about Manx history for a change instead of doing British O-level history and that sort of thing, and A-level. And it was great. And I joined the Croonie Committee at that time, I think, round about then as well. And although I didn't go to Lorient after 1989 when I took the school group with me, we did organise holidays in Brittany, and that was for music and dance and language as well, because I was dealing with groups for the Croonie, and we met up with these Bretons. So I've always thought I've been a Gael first and foremost, I suppose, and then a Celt, the wider Celtic world. So I've gone on, did the Pan-Celtic and all that you've heard Breesha saying already. And I still do teach in a limited way nowadays. I gave up teaching when I had cataracts and I couldn't drive very easily in the dark. Sorry, Dot, I left you on your own and trying to go get this man. But anyway, that's the story of my life, and I'm still enjoying it now. And I would just like to say, I've done it for the love of the language. So, my thanks to all of you for being so supportive of me, because I certainly couldn't have done it all on my own. From Tim over there, who made shields for the white boys years and years ago when we were doing that, to all the people who've helped all the way. Gurmai Moyu, will you? Thanks very much.
So get a certificate that was designed by Julia.
By Julia, yes.
Because the trophy is so heavy and quite unwieldy. These at Culture Vannin.
I have only a small house.
So we have a nice certificate for you. So.
Thank you. That's very acceptable.
We heard steward at Culture Vannin, Culture Vannin's director, Breesha Maddrell, Cairliach Culture Vannin, the Culture Vannin's chairman, Thomas MHK, and, all importantly, Fiona McArdle, Reih Bleeaney Vanannan, Moylley soylley Giish, many congratulations to her. Tret as yn Erin Arts Centre jit leis Aundyryn Vannin ons na blinten Gianach, ys Erin Arts engel cor reinen as carn as tradisiwn Vannin, onsiaw sgiel sien nod rau ced siartans de lai chlaw stúv va bunnes follit ra sien ons ljoren vas chlaw, as ons lauskriunen rau regedden nach ons taitasti. Chawelia sgil va Aundyryn Ega chit de ve fiesgle oil, trwyd cairn de insige greinen cioli trwyd de scoilin, as de chlai is de goil ren os poddanen reichid egen chirveish chioli, as van Aundyryn Ega corleshnus chlai en shen, as gynna wimmed jou ons shira achten no, de chlai en stu traditionach vergeten. This Saturday, the 11th of February, in the Erin Arts Centre, there are two associated events, with the first of them of particular interest for aspiring musicians and anyone with an interest in music. Here's Pip Rolfe of the Erin Arts Centre to tell us about what's happening.
Relaunching our piano series this week with a fantastic Romanian pianist called George Todica. George is a multi-award winner. He's currently based in London, but he made his orchestral debut aged 14 with the Moldova Philharmonic Orchestra, and he's performed as a soloist with the Istanbul Orchestra, the Huntington Philharmonic, the Cambridge Graduate Orchestra. He's played at the Royal Conservatoire, debuted at the Wigmore Hall in 2018, and like I say, he's won various competitions in the last few years. So he comes to us courtesy of the Keyboard Trust in London, and we're extremely lucky to have him. I've been dealing with Sarah Biggs, who Keyboard Trust CEO. The Keyboard Trust is essentially a venue-less charity in that they don't have a performance venue, but they seem to act like an agent for young professional upcoming keyboard players. And they hook them up with venues like ourselves who want to promote and put on young artists. In order to broaden the appeal of the event out a little bit, I wanted to have something that would attract not only people who would want to watch the recital, but maybe learn a little bit more about the life of and the way that a young professional plays. And he will be playing excerpts from and talking about his programme in a free masterclass at 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday the 11th. We're asking people to book on our ticket source site online. It's just Erin Arts Centre ticket source. The tickets are free, but it's just to give us an idea of how many people are coming down. Now, I'm sure if you turn up on the door, it will be fine, but it would just be nice so we don't have curtains before, if we could find out how many people are coming approximately. He's going to be playing works by Chopin, Robert Schumann, Rachmaninoff and Enescu. So I'm looking forward to that. In the masterclass, it will be him sitting unpacking the programme that he's going to play in the evening, playing excerpts, talking about various techniques, maybe about his practice schedule, and talking about what it's like to be a young professional pianist. So hopefully it'll be a chance for upcoming and established pianists, anyone interested in music really, to be able to get up close and personal with somebody who's at the top of their craft.
Pip Rolfe of the Erin Arts Centre. The concert by Romanian pianist George Todica takes place at 7:30 p.m. this coming Saturday, the 11th of February. Tickets for the recital are £15, but only £2 for under 18s. But in association with that recital, there's that wonderful opportunity at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning to attend that masterclass at the Erin Arts Centre with George Todica, and it's completely free. So, jinta mai ler Ellen and fair charn. Well done, the Erin Arts Centre. Ten brastel mancherach shen jinususach son Aundyryn Ega de insige riddenach de gorstjach ons ach klaiok heen. For the Ugrain of wel Kiaull Jane sort shen, is Chopin, as Schumann, as Rachmaninoff, kolchonelt rish Culture Vannin. ach ta culture bio de kinjach tarn stiach benen as culture Elia, as mester het stiach ons acht, as fuddy na san mi de vellet gedden reirurish, ach ta de kinjach ke de grue mester no, sait culture Elia, ach tarn stiach snaien as culture Elia. It was very interesting to see how quickly the work of Colin and Jerry in the late 1970s bore fruit in making available in an attractive and inexpensive format the basic tunes he found in manuscript form, some of which had been developed into the material for Manx national songs, but in that form had become more or less ossified. Where youngsters knew only of The Sheep Under the Snow with piano accompaniment from Manx national songs, Colin gave the bare tune with suggested chord accompaniment for whatever instrument people might want to play it on, and he paired the tune with the traditional words in the Manx Gaelic, as they appeared in the likes of A.W. Moore's Manx Ballads and Music. Within a very short time, youngsters were quite happy to refer to songs and tunes by their titles in Manx as given by Colin, and they sang the words in Manx Gaelic rather than the English lyrics written for Manx national songs. However, they were given an opportunity to do so, particularly by Unchruniach, and later by Shanachis Jew, and it subsequently fed into the Guild, which had in fact originally got rid of Manx Gaelic song classes in 1916. Another modern forum for the island's young people to perform traditional material, but which also encourages them to develop it in the light of their other influences, are Aundyryn Kiaull Theay Vannin, the Manx Folk Awards. Jo Callister of Reih Bleeaney Culture, the Department of Education, Sport and Culture, and Chloe Woolley of Culture Vannin worked together on the Aundyryn, and here they are with an important reminder and with other information.
Our closing date for entries is the 13th of February. That's Monday. So if you realise over the weekend that you haven't got your entries in, don't panic. You can get them to us on Monday. And then we can get the programming ready for the event, which starts on the 26th of March.
The Manx Folk Awards now have become very well established. What was the history of it? How did they come about?
Once upon a time, there was Incrunicht competitions, which Jo and I took part in ourselves as school children. Then it was the Crunicht Egg, and it became the Manx Folk Awards, Aundyryn Kiaull Theay Vannin.
12 years ago, it's hard to believe it's 12 years ago, but we started off and we were in, I think, possibly 1 or 2 rooms at the Eye Museum in Douglas. And it was a beautiful sunny day, and the children all spread out across the road and had packed lunches outside, didn't they? And now we are a really informal set of competitions that last for 5 days, with well over 1,000 pupils taking part, starting with secondary on the Sunday, and Key Stage 1, then Key Stage 2, and then we've got a whole day dedicated to Manx language as well.
But the important thing, of course, is that Monday deadline.
Yes, that's right. So if you'd like to enter, the syllabuses are online. You can either contact myself or Chloe through the Department of Education, Sport and Culture, or Culture Vannin, and you can find them on manxmusic.com. If you go on there, and it's on the education page, you'll see there all the syllabuses for 2023, and there's all sorts you can enter. This year's theme is calendar customs, and I think we've got some new duet classes. But it's the same informal ethos, really friendly competitions. And yeah, get your entries in before the 13th of February.
Jo Callister of Reih Bleeaney Culture and Chloe Woolley of Culture Vannin, with information about the Aundyryn Kiaull Theay Vannin, and that all-important reminder that this coming Monday, the 13th of February, is the closing date for entries for the awards, which take place in late March. As Shiaght as besort and treir jit de chorkion Shiaght Laa hier cho. Shiaght Laa will be back next Thursday at 6 with Madeline Crellin. But now from me, Bob Carswell, ach nish von Pien, Robert de Karslach, Slen you.